Good day, everybody. This is your man Shannon coming at you again with another edition of the You're So Witty broadcast. It's been a minute. Had some things going on. Just trying to, life, and we just have to make sure that we continue to roll in our personal lives. And I had a lot going on, a little under the weather, so I'm back again, and we're ready to roll, and we're ready to get some good shows off in this new year. Today, we're going to talk about a subject of transition, and with that subject, I want to make sure that I bring on a great guest, and that great guest is a really good friend of mine, and we're going to bring him on, and that's Mr. Philip Nash. What's going on, Mr.
Hey,
Nash?
what's going on? Nothing much. Good to be on here with you, Mr. So Witty.
Yeah, man. I've been trying to get you on for a minute.
Yes.
Because I know you always got something good to say, brother. And it's just, that being the case, it's just been a busy beginning of the first part of the year. And I'm glad to have you on as my first guest.
All right.
So, what we're doing today, man, we're going to be talking about the topic of transition. The topic of transition. Transition is something that we all have to deal with in our lives. Some good, some bad, some warranted, some not warranted. And I just, I thought I'd bring you on to talk about it, man, because I know you can expound upon some stuff very well.
Man, I appreciate you bringing me on.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Before we get started, though, let me know who you are. The people know who you are. I know who you are. Anything you want to tell us? A few things about yourself, anyway.
Philip Nash, husband, father, former Marine, preacher. So I think that pretty much
Excellent singer.
sounded up. Oh yeah, I do. I do.
Okay, all right.
In the shop.
I asked you to do something right here. Yeah.
All you gotta do is say a word. You ain't say it.
I know it, man.
You know it.
I'm glad to have you on, man. For real. So, like I said, the
Appreciate
subject
you,
today will be transition, and we're gonna jump right into it.
Let's hit it.
What would you say transition is, or your meaning or definition?
Man, only thing I can think of when you come down to what is transition is change.
Right.
At the end of the day, I mean, I looked under Merriam-Webster, man, and I wrote some stuff down. Try to be all deep and wonderful, but every time I looked at the definition, it kept saying change. It kept saying change, or it said shift. One of those two. It said a change from one state to another, a change from a shift from one state, subject, place, etc., to another, a period or a phase in which such a change or shift is happening. So, but what I liked about it as I was looking it up is one word, not just change, but a bridge.
Okay.
That blew me away.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's good.
when you think about it from a perspective of a bridge, you have to think about it along the lines of access. This bridge, because it's been built, gives me access to something that I'd never been able to access had I not came to this bridge.
Cool.
Think about the Golden Gate Bridge. That bridge takes you into what? San Francisco? Takes you out of San Francisco? You can't have access to it unless you access the bridge, unless you go by boat or something like that. But when we look at transition, it should be something that bridges us and gives us access to something that we hadn't accessed before.
Yeah, well, that'll do it, because transition will get you there. A bridge will get you there. Transition, first of all, it took me years to deal with change. I never really cared for change, but I noticed a lot of your movers and shakers, they don't have no problem changing, bro. At the last minute, we've always wore blue and red. And they'll say, well, no, we ain't got to do that today because we need to go to white and blue. And you be like, what?
Okay.
But I've noticed a lot of your movers and shakers don't mind changing. So when we talk about transition, you got to be able to do that thing sometimes on the fly. And sometimes it's uncomfortable and it don't feel good. But so for me, transition means you're moving to something else. You know, whether it be better, worse, whatever. But it's a transition. We always hope that it's better.
Yes.
And mine doesn't sound as eloquent as the way you put it, but it's just moving to something else.
I like to hear, since we're in this conversation,
Right.
just what other people are saying or what their thought process is, because that way, like Scripture tells us, as iron sharpens iron, and I believe that as you bring your point of view in, I bring my point of view in. I believe that we get a better perspective when it comes down to the word. Granted, we may get every I cross every T when it comes down to transition, because there are others that may say transition is something totally different.
That's right.
Because it's based on their perspective. And I think that if we would learn to embrace the perspectives of others, whether we agree with them or not, we'll be better off.
That's right. Yeah. Well, that transition thing, man, even when you hear the word transition, it becomes broad at some point, and I don't want to get ahead in the interview, but that transition thing for me, like I said, I never really cared for change up until about the last 7 to 8 years. I realized that no matter if you like it or not, something's happening. Something's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
And here's what hit me, because this is actually the word that God gave me for the year 2022.
Wow.
And what he was saying to me was that transition can be abrupt. Transition can be anticipated, but ultimately it should be accepted.
There you go.
Why? Because it's unavoidable. I think you said that.
That's the point I was making right there. Yeah. You can not want it, you can dodge it, you can hide from it, and we see it in so many different aspects of life. The more you get accustomed to making transitions, you listen. I'm just gonna say this: if you watch a sports game, a lot of times one team will be beating another team, and they say, "Oh, they made some adjustments." So those adjustments, those transitions that they made to move to something else, sometimes throws the other team off.
Yes, sir.
And they'll win a lot of times like that. So
and that's what they want to
do. Yeah, it's a very broad thing, man. But I wanted to go to that question and say, how should we view transition?
And that's a great question. And as I look at this question, as I think about this question, I struggle with it. Here's the reason why I say I struggle with it. Because when you say that transition is either good or bad, you limit the vantage points that you take as you look at it, because you label it. You label it good, you label it bad. But I'd like to pull something from this society that we're in as we look at transition. It should be neutral. When we start viewing something either good or bad, our emotions get tied into it. Our feelings get tied into it. And we can easily we can start spiraling one way or the other. And I think that we should look at it from the perspective of an opportunity to grow. That's why I say it should be neutral. Because when you start seeing it as good, hey, that was a good transition. And then when you start having bad stuff happen, it's like, yeah. When death happens, whether it's a loss, whatever kind of loss it may be, you're going to deal with grief. There's a such thing as good grief. So what that suggests to you and me is then there's a bad way to grieve too. So if we could ever get to a place where we look at it from a different lens, I think that we can grow from it.
I like
And I
that.
think that
Yeah, I like that. I for me, if I'm just transparent and that's the only way I know to be, I agree with you. It should be neutral. The problem that I've often run into with transition is this. In a real way, it don't always feel good. It don't always make you feel good.
Nope.
Whether it be a divorce, whether it be whatever's going on. So your answer is on point. View good or bad, yeah, it should be neutral. But in those real emotions,
Oh man, come on now.
man, when it's happening, hey,
We're
when
gonna
it's
say it's
happening,
either good or bad.
yeah, you looking at it either good or bad at that moment.
Yeah.
Now, your overall perspective after you look at it, when you back up, you calm down or whatever's going on, yeah, you say, you know what, that was pretty good for me. But when that person tell you they don't want you no more, and you've been with them for a minute, or or you working somewhere and they don't want you no more, or whatever's going on, it don't feel good at that moment. So I guess that's why the question was posed that way, because I'm glad you answered it. The way you answered it is the way we should handle it.
Right.
Because somewhere in this is going to be something good for me. And that's just, I try to make sure that when I say something, I'm always keeping it 100 for somebody that I know.
Oh, no doubt.
They might be in that spot where they seeing it bad.
Because, bro,
And they ain't trying to hear, well, I ain't going to say that, but they ain't
Right.
trying to hear nothing. You understand what I'm
right,
saying?
exactly. I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel because cause it could be like you said. We could take it all the way to Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
This doggone thing could be good, bad, but then it could be ugly.
It can be ugly. Yeah. Yeah. I ain't trying to hear none of that you talking. You feel what I'm saying? When somebody come to you wrong, or it may not even be wrong, it's just you don't like what you hearing as the transition is happening.
Yes.
And it take some people longer than others. Some people can hear it and they get it and they go, yeah, okay, cool. Other people, you got to call 911 to get them off them. And then later they look and say, damn, I handled that wrong. You know what I'm saying? They really didn't mean it that way. They didn't mean to escort me out the door in a bad way. But how else could they get me out the door?
I'm in handcuffs. I got a cage.
Handcuffs, you know what I'm saying?
I'm calling Shannon with my one phone call.
Yeah, man. Yeah, all of that. So transitions are different. Or let's get it there. Somebody passes away.
Yeah.
That you have no freaking clue. You didn't see it coming. It's one thing with somebody laying in hospice.
Remember the things I mentioned at the beginning.
Yes.
That we were talking about what is transition. And God was telling me about how it can be abrupt, but it can anticipate.
Right.
Because if somebody's in hospice, for the most part, we know they transition.
Yeah.
And we don't know when, of course. But the way that we should view this, if it's through the lens of ourselves.
Man, when you get to a point where, and I've been here, actually not too long ago, what do I do with this?
Right.
What do I do with this? And I try to be pretty regimented about my life and knowing what I'm gonna do next and all that. But man, you get thrown off on, and sometimes you get thrown off on it, and you like, man, okay, everybody looking at you. What do we do here? I don't know.
Right.
I don't know right now.
And guess what?
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, it's better than acting like you know.
Right.
It's better to say, you tell somebody, okay, I got us, let's go. And you run off a cliff somewhere. You didn't even know which way you was going.
Like, bro, how we get over here?
Right. I was watching the movie Harriet Tubman. I guess the last one that was made or whatever. And they got out in the woods or whatever, and they running. That first group that she went and got in the movie anyway. And one of the guys wanted to take over. She first of all, if you knew where we were going, you would have already been running before I came back to get you.
Thank you.
But what he said was, "Look, y'all, she don't know what she's doing. Let me lead you." That is not the dude that you want to be following. She had already kind of figured out how to get back and forth. He didn't know nothing. So what I'm saying is a lot of times we don't know, even in the midst of transition, what the next move is.
Right.
And that's just, that's from my personal experience. But you do know a move is going to be made. And if you give me a moment, and for me, and I believe for yourself, if I give God a minute to show me the next move to make, it's going to be all right.
Yeah, because one of the things that I was looking at too was Ecclesiastes 3. To everything, there's a season.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's a purpose. That's how that starts off. Then it goes into trying to be born, trying to die, trying to laugh, trying to cry. So it goes through all these transitions, war, peace. You go between one or the other, or you in the middle of it.
Yeah.
I think somebody said it like this: you either in a storm, just coming out of the storm, or you get ready to go into the storm.
Man. Yeah.
That's transition.
There you go. And think about it. When you driving and you hit that storm sometime, all you can think about, especially when you driving, everybody got their flashes on, you can't see. All you be thinking about is, how far do I got to get down this road before this thing gonna clear up? And sometimes you have to pull over.
Yeah.
Sit under the the underpass, or just pull over because you can't see nothing. You don't know, what the road look like, so you just pull over and try to wait for what it'll die down. So
right. So that your visibility, can be
restored
at a place where you're comfortable to move. Right. Something is unexpected. It just happens all of a sudden.
And so you got to be in a mindset, no matter what happens. You got to be MacGyver, man. I'm dating saying that, but you got to be MacGyver. No matter what happens, we will figure something out here.
So we're going to figure it out.
And something is going to work out, and most of the time it's going to work out to my good. That being the case, I try not to even think about it no more. It just seems to pan out some kind of way. Somebody knew somebody, something happened, a couple of things moved over here, and then after a while, it's a blur. How did you get through that? I'm not really sure. But other than that, I can just say God got me there.
Man, it made me think, when you were talking, made me think about when my oldest grandson, he was staying with us, and he was watching this show that he liked on PBS called Little Bear. And it had snow, and the snow was like probably about 6-7 feet deep. You know what I mean? He couldn't go outside. He wanted to go outside. And I think it was Mama Bear or Papa Bear, one of them. They said something that blessed us. They said this right here, and it's been sticking to me the whole time. Whether the weather be cold, whether the weather be hot, we'll weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not.
Man,
that transition summed up.
That's it right there. And whether you like it or not, you're going to transition one way or the other. You're gonna That's the way you hear people say we can do this the easy way or the hard way. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. You brought up scripture, man, and I got to go to this before we move on. One scripture that kept coming to my mind was, and I saw this end of last year, it started coming to my mind, where Elijah's at the brook. He's already, told him it's not going to rain and all that. And by his own words, he goes and he sits down by the brook. He's got water. He's got food. The Bible tells us God sent birds and ravens to feed him.
Yes.
And I'm sure that got pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to do nothing. Food coming right here. But back to that uneasiness sometimes. Because it was easy. I'm getting fed. I ain't got no problems.
Right.
All of a sudden, the brook dries up. By his own words, actually. But the brook dries up. And then you see the ravens stop bringing the food. Now, at that point, that's when you start going, wait a minute. My pantry getting a little low.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when God told him, all right, now get up. Move from here. I've already prepared another position for you, another situation. A widow woman has already been called to help you out. So
To sustain you.
yeah, to sustain you for the next thing. So
Yeah.
sometimes we get too comfortable with the fact that I've always had it good right here. At least I got everything I need right here, whether it be a relationship, you know, that may not even be that great, but at least I know I got the basics, but you ain't living your full potential.
Right.
You know, it might be, you know, occupation. It might be anything, but you're not living your full potential. But you know what you got. Back to me not liking change no more. So you limit yourself to even trying to go any further. So sometimes that brook gotta dry up.
It has to.
Yeah.
But even in the brook drying up, it makes me think about how God views us. And he says it like this. He says, I know the thoughts or the plans that I have for you.
That's right.
First of all, he says, they're not to harm you, but to give you hope and a future.
However you see it, you have to be able to look beyond your natural eyes.
Yes.
Because if you're looking through these, all right, baby, we done. This is over. We not gonna make it. Yeah, and you just, I mean, and sometimes you do feel that way. What I do, I have gotten there, but I can tell you this: if I sit down, take a breathe, and rest, all right,
Yes, sir.
let's get it. You know what I'm saying? And then you move forward.
Yeah.
Should we ever cause the transition?
Woo. That's a loaded question.
It is. Yes, it is.
But it's loaded with good stuff. That's the thing. Yes. And in us causing it, I started thinking about chef life.
Okay.
And when you put something on a shelf, and that product has an expectancy of how long it's supposed to be on. And once it hits that shelf life or that expiration date, then it is to be removed from there. But the kicker is this. That still don't mean that it doesn't have value. You know, but for the most part, yeah. When is the shelf life up on some? When is the expiration date? And that's an individual thing as it relates to the why. We could be in an unhealthy situation where, you know, we got to be abrupt if it's causing, you know, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, professional, whatever the arena it is. Even in some instances, relation. You know, we have to say, you know, so long, bye bye.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chuck up them deuces.
I think at some point I agree with you. You have to know when to make the transition. Even if and you have to be the cause of it. You might have your starting players. I keep going back to sports. I don't know what it's all that, but I'm just using that. You could be having your starting players in, or just somebody the group that you put in first in a game. But guess what? They're not getting the job done. Sometimes we have to call that transition. Sometimes you have to break something so it can mend back stronger. Sometimes you have to leave the situation to go get a better situation. I've heard people leaving cities, man, and go to a new city with little to nothing and end up with more than they ever had. But had they stayed where they were comfortable, they never would have achieved what they did achieve. You know, you brought up scripture, and we're gonna go there again. Abraham was told, leave your family, leave them, and go somewhere where I'm gonna show you. where
Yeah.
everything else is gonna be different than what you've been doing. He
Yeah.
knew what he had, and he knew where he was. That take a lot of guts, man. It take a
Oh yeah.
lot. It takes more than just guts. It takes a lot of faith
Yeah.
to do that, and I've done it. I've done it in life. And sometimes you can't see exactly what's up ahead, but you know this.
Right.
And then you hit some situations, you be like, I don't even know what's ahead, but I know I'm leaving this.
I got to get out of here. Yeah, and that's where we got to be in life, is to the point to where we're like, you know what? As I look at myself and where I am right now in life, and if there is something or someone that may be causing me not to have peace, not to have joy, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If they messing with, those things, the little intangible things in my life, and then sometimes they get on the tangent. Because if you costing me money, yeah, we got to rethink this relationship. And because at the end of the day, we got to have what's best for the individuals that we deal with. And that first individual is myself.
Man, there you go. Now, see, that's getting to the nuts and bolts of it right there, man. I gotta say, that's getting to the nuts and bolts of it. Now, an older gentleman once told me, he was older than I was, told me many years ago, and it's proven to be true. He said, if you make a decision and you don't care how it turns out, but you just say, I'm making this decision anyway because I can't do this no more, he said, you're probably making the right decision. And I can't tell you how many times that has proven to be true in my life. That's one piece of advice that gentleman gave me that I have thought about a billion times because his advice was true. If you say, I don't know what's happening when I jump overboard right here, but I can't sit in this boat with you no more or this situation no more. This transition gonna happen, but you don't know what's over on this side. Listen, you missing it. I don't care. I just can't do this no more. With that kind of fortitude, you'll swim the English Channel. You'll swim across the ocean. And so you gonna make it. You just know you can't do this anymore. It reminds me of the movie Papillon. He kept trying to get away. He kept trying. Go look at the movie Papillon. Someone looking at it. But at the end, he kept trying to change his situation. The transition he was saying is, I don't care if I gotta die.
I gotta get out.
I gotta get out.
I gotta get out.
The faith that I have tells me that I'm probably not gonna die. And if I do, it won't be in this situation because that I think in some cases, man, that might even be worse. Dying in a situation you wasn't even happy in.
Wow, that's terrible.
Bro, you can have a plan laid out. This gonna happen. This gonna happen. What happened when part of that plan fall away though? What happened when that part of the direction, that page was tore out because somebody ripped the page out the book, and now you just looking. Wait a minute, what happened to page 5?
Right.
And I've learned God lets that happen more times than not, man. Because otherwise you trusting in just you.
Yeah. See, in life, we be striving for independence. I raise my hand on that too. Because that's what life teaches us. I got to get up. I'm a man. I got to go make the money. I got to take care of my family. Got to do all these things that I'm responsible for. And these people are dependent on me. So I gotta do what I need to do. If we're going to get to some places, we're gonna have to rely on someone or greater power, whatever it is, in order for us to get there. And the thing about transition is you have to be selective about who you allow in your life in the middle of a transition. Sometimes we can be so close to the transition and in that moment of it that we lose focus of the bigger picture. And whenever you look at a screen like a TV, there are millions of pixels on that screen. But if some of those pixels are missing, the whole picture's messed up. And as we go through different phases and shifts and changes, crossing different bridges, you know, someone else crossed that bridge prior to us. And I think Marcus Garvey said it like this. He says, each one do what? Reach one. Each one reach one. Guess what? That's going to build a better race. That's going to build a better group of people. And if we could ever get to a place that say, you know what? I recognize that you are a transition. What can I do in this moment to come alongside you? I've been in transition. I may not have been in the same one that you in, but I'm pretty sure that there are things that you need. Because when I was in transition, there was stuff that I needed. It's one thing to be educated in something. It's another thing to be exposed to something.
Yeah.
But when you experience, that's a totally different thing.
And which one of them people would you rather listen to?
I'd rather listen to the person that actually experienced.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it out there. You are a Marine.
Mm-hmm.
How much transition did they teach you in the Marine?
A whole bunch of
yeah. To adapt, man.
It's that hurry up and wait. It seems like we did that more than anything else, man.
Yeah, but
from basic training all the way through even transitioning through rank and getting promoted, all of that. You know, moving from one duty station to another duty station.
Can I go a little deeper with you with that? You were a recruiter.
Mm-hmm.
So not only had you experienced some things, you were able to tell the person that you were trying to recruit what they could expect.
Oh, yes.
But, you know, that I still want to thank you for your service as well.
Man, my pleasure, sir.
Yeah, that's what's happening.
Even in this setting, I appreciate that opportunity to come on and, you know, to talk to your viewers, hopefully pour something into them and sharpen them. Because definitely it sharpened me, you know, made me a better person.
How would you wrap up transition? If somebody found themselves in transition right now and didn't know what to do, what would you tell them?
Hey, I said it earlier. Whether the weather be cold, whether the weather be hot, we'll weather the weather, whatever the weather, whether we like it or not. That's it.
All right, so hey, you know, we'll talk to you in just a minute. Thank you for coming, man. God bless.
Thank you, man.
I
God
will
bless you.
catch up with you real soon.
Okay.
Okay. God bless, man. Easy. All right, that's Mr. Philip Nash that came on talking to us about transition. I don't know where you are in your life. He made a lot of great points. Like he said, whatever the weather, we're going to have to weather the weather, whether we like it or not. But just know, if you keep the faith, you will come through the weather. And remember, you too are so witty. God bless.